Okay, thanks everybody for joining us. It's standing room only here down in the film theater. Those watching upstairs in the press box, if you're near a TV set and want to see it, tune in to Channel 6, and you can get this live. We'll be joined a little bit later on by the trainer of Doulahan, Dale Romans, but right now we have with us, left to right, jockey Mario Gutierrez and trainer Doug O'Neill. Doug will be here for about 20 minutes or so, so if you have any questions specifically for Doug, make sure you get him in the first part of this session. And just before we start, just want to, so that the folks upstairs can know what our guests are referring to, either grab the microphone for me, or if not, I'll repeat the question so those listening upstairs and those also watching on the internet can know the context of all the answers. And now we are indeed joined by trainer Dale Romans, who will send out Doulahan against I'll Have Another. I guess I'll start with the man in the middle, Mario Gutierrez. You got some richly deserved time away up in Canada last week, but now you're in the heart of all the action. How's it been being in New York and being thrust into all this media attention?
It's been fun. A little bit tired at moments, but I'm happy and try to enjoy every single minute of it.
And Doug, I know you were given by Naira a DVD of some of the past Belmont stakes. Have you had a chance to review any of that with Mario yet? And if not, when might you do so?
Well, you know, Mario had mentioned that he had watched a bunch of Belmont replays back in L.A. before coming here. So I think Mario's ready to roll, and the horse seems ready to roll. So there's probably not a real need for me to watch the replays. But I haven't had a chance to, but if I do, I will.
And Doug, if you would, tell us how I'll Have Another did this morning, and also how he seems to be acclimating to his new surroundings in the Belmont Stakes barn.
He settled right in like we thought he would, and he had a really good day of training today. I thought he showed good energy, and he cooled out really well, so we're very happy with where we are here 2 days out.
Dale, I guess it's your role to be something of a killjoy here, but in the spirit of fair play, and I'm sure Doug and Mario wouldn't want it any other way, but how's Doulahan coming up to the race? I know your owner, Mr. Crawford, said it was kind of his idea to bypass the Preakness. With the benefit of hindsight, do you think that might actually help your chances here on Saturday?
Well, I think it does help us. I do think we'd have been competitive in the Preakness. Yeah, but having the extra time, you can do a few more things to try to get your horse ready to go a mile and a half, and you can bring a fresh horse in here. It has to be beneficial.
Okay, we'll take questions now from down here for Dale, Mario, and Doug. And again, if you can grab the microphone from me, do so. Otherwise, I'll repeat the question. And who'd like to start things off? How about you, Lenny?
Mario, are your plans for the future? Are you going back to Canada and making that your base going forward after this, or what are your plans?
The question is for Mario. After all this Triple Crown excitement is over, have you thought about your future? Do you plan to go back to Canada, or what might your plans be?
Since I came to Santa Anita, my goal was, break into a California circuit of racing. So after all is done, I'll go back and I'm gonna make California my base and see how it goes.
And I imagine Doug is just fine with that.
Yeah.
That plan.
Awesome.
As is Mr. Redham. Yes, Pat.
Yeah, for Doug, I'm just wondering if any time during I'll Have Another's career, especially early on, if you were surprised that he was not favored in any of the races. What do you think maybe the reason for?
For Doug, were you surprised as I'll Have Another's career has progressed that he still has never been favored in a single one of his races?
Well, obviously the Bob Lewis, we weren't surprised. And then the Sandia Derby, that was a pretty deep field, and I think a lot of people thought the Bob Lewis was a fluke, so that wasn't really that shocking he wasn't favorite. And then in the Kentucky Derby, the fact that, I had only run two other horses, and they didn't run very good. And you had Baffert and a lot of the big-name guys with top horses. That wasn't that big of a shocker. But And then in the Preakness, with Bodemeister shortening up in distance, again with Baffert, it wasn't that big of a shock. But I will be shocked if we're not favored on Saturday.
Jody?
For Doug and then Dale also, just talk about the barn and then having everybody there together, and there's a lot of talk about it. What's it like now that everybody's in there, and your thoughts on the security barn?
For Doug and Dale, your thoughts on the security barn. What's it like now that everybody's in there?
Dale, you go first.
All right, the barn's ridiculous. There's too many horses in there doing the same things at the same times. There's too many people in there. There's 3 or 4 people for every horse, and then everybody trying to walk in the afternoons and graze, and it's just ridiculous. They could have found such an easier way to accommodate the horse, and I don't think anybody who set that barn up and made the rules was thinking about the horse. Thank you very much.
Wow, I love that's great. I mimic that. You know, I actually one of these days I wouldn't mind having a few stalls here at Belmont. So
Wait a second. That's not NYRA, though. That's the Racing
That's
Wagering
true.
Board.
That's true.
And I will
That's
say
true.
that NYRA did the best job they could possibly
Yeah.
do to make a bad situation good. They fixed the
Yeah.
barn up as nice as it could possibly be. The whole area is as well prepared as it possibly could be. But I know it's not NYRA. It's the Racing and Wagering
That's true.
Board. There's a huge disconnect between our regulators and what's the reality of the backside. And that's a major problem in horse racing, in my opinion.
We'll ask
Yeah.
the gallery to hold their applause till the end of the press conference.
Yeah.
Doug, I'm sorry.
No, Dale's got a huge point. It's obviously an inconvenience for everybody, and I think we're just the state is trying to show everyone how clean the game is and that it's not polluted with a bunch of crooks and cheaters like some people have written about.
But what this situation does is it brings bad perception to the game. I mean, they could have quietly put guards on every horse and never been talked about in the paper. But I think this causes the poor perception, and it makes even people think worse of the game. When there's nothing. This is a very clean sport. It's run properly. There's enough regular checks and balances put into place to make sure it's an even playing field, and this whole thing isn't really necessary.
I'll vote for Dale if he's the national commissioner. Run for the commissioner. Come on, this is what we need. We need a horseman who's got the huevos to say what's right, and it's just, you're completely right. So, but hopefully it's just a clean run race, and everyone's settled by Saturday.
That's true. The horses seem to be fine. It's not going to affect the outcome of the race, I don't believe. But it's just not right to take them out of their environment and move them somewhere else 3 days out from the biggest day of their life.
All right, very good. Tim?
I think Dale might have just answered this, but this is for Doug and Dale. Could the security barn get a horse beat?
For Doug and Dale, you may have already answered this, but could the security barns or the Belmont Stakes barn get a horse beat?
Well, if I get beat, I'm going to blame the security barn.
And that's the problem. The rest of the world will too. And that's unfair to the horse
that's
that
true,
wins.
yeah.
And but no, I don't think that the barn will get these horses beat. These are classy horses. They're strong-minded horses, or they wouldn't have gotten to this level. I don't think it's going to affect the outcome of the race. But it may affect public opinion after the race. I mean, if Doug's horse was to happen to lose, I mean, it's going to be human nature for people to say, well, they got him with the detention barn, and that's not fair. That diminishes his performance in the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown, and it will also diminish the winner's performance in the Belmont.
Yes, sir.
For Mario, could you just talk a little about your experience racing at Hastings and how you think that helped advance your career as a jockey?
The question is for Mario. Could you talk a little about your experience at Hastings Park and how that time helped advance your career?
I started in Mexico, and Mexico City racetrack is huge. It's still a mile racetrack. So when I first moved to Vancouver, I was in shock because it's a little tiny racetrack. So tight turns, like a lot of horses. So you really have to be lookout, like what's the next, like the guy beside you is doing, because otherwise, accidents can happen really fast in those kind of racetracks. So I think it helped me a lot. For just to see where I am, like right now, you come after that 6 year racing in Vancouver, coming here again to big racetrack, you see more spaces, you can see more clear horses, you have a lot of space where you can move your horse. You can always have a second choice to make.
Questions for yes, Jerry.
I know you haven't ridden it yet, Mario, but how big is Belmont Park? Just looking at it. I know you haven't gone on the track, but just looking. How big is?
I've been on the track already.
You know, but how big do you think? You haven't ridden on it yet.
Question
No.
for Mario is, although you have been out on the track with a pony so far, I believe, what are your impressions just at how large Belmont is from the short time you've been here?
It is pretty big, you know, mile and a half. I gallop a couple horses. I wore one horse today, so it is big. I feel really comfortable, you know. I was happy to go out there and just to take a look around. But I'm not the only one who's gonna be there. My other fellows are gonna be at the same rate as me. We're gonna run the same distance, so.
What was that, Jerry? You're confident.
Well, I believe in my horse, right? But I'm no. I respect everybody else in the race too. You know, they're there for a reason. I'm gonna be looking out for every single one of them. It's not an easy race. Everybody's going out there try to fight for the win, and I'm gonna do the same.
Everybody's talking, Mario, about you coming to this gigantic racetrack at Belmont. After you rode at the Bull Ring in Hastings, did Santa Anita or Hollywood seem gigantic compared to Hastings?
Mexico City racetrack is huge too.
Oh, it is? Okay. Debbie. The question
don't
is
know.
for Doug as to whether that is a playoff beard and it will come off after the Triple Crown and or the Kings win the Stanley Cup.
Wow, I don't know. You know, the fact that I'm follically challenged on the top of my head, I kind of like it. So, you know, it's a good way to hide a few chins if you're not working out regularly. So, that's a good question. We'll have to that'd be a good problem to have.
I think if he wins the Triple Crown, he should leave it on forever.
ZZ Top. I feel like a ZZ Top guy.
Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead, Mario.
Okay, pues bien preparado, pues pues lo mismo, you know, trabajar en las mañanas, ir al gimnasio, tratar de relajarme lo más que se pueda con todo esto que está pasando y pues estamos contentos más que nada para que llegue el sábado.
I agree with him.
Para mi carrera, pues eso es lo mejor que me puede estar pasando en la vida ahorita. El caballo me ha cambiado la vida y pues ya queremos que sea sábado.
Question is for Doug, if you could discuss the evolution of Mario as both a jockey and as a person as all this great stuff with I'll Have Another is unfolded.
Well, you know, he's a real pain in the ass, and he's very opinionated, and he won't listen to anything we say to him. So, other than that, now, you know, when Paul and Zilla mentioned using Mario, you could see he won like 27% of his races up at Hastings, so we knew he was a winner. And but as we got to know him, we absolutely fell in love with his personality and just the way he's programmed, and you know, he's always given thanks and to the horse, and so he's a breath of fresh air for us, and you know, obviously 4 for 4 and I'll Have Another. Those two get along so well, and you know, I think Mario's always had a lot of talent, and he was just. It took a horse like I'll Have Another to show all of us, you know, that it was where it was or that it's here.
Tom?
You know, I wanted to ask for a translation. Could I ask you what you asked Mario and what he answered?
Oh, I asked him how he feels about Saturday and how well prepared he's for
And what did he tell you?
No comment.
Well, we
I
could
think he
just
said no.
ask. We could just ask Mario. Mario, for those who didn't understand your answer in Spanish, we understand that the question was, How are your preparations going for Saturday? Can you tell us in English what you told the woman in Spanish?
Yeah, no, but the preparation is the same. I try to do the same routine I did for the Kentucky, for the Preakness, you know. Every all those races they were like first time for me at the time, so it's this one. So I try to do the same. Try to relax as much as I can, you know, and go out there in the morning, gallop horses, and go see I'll have another, just the same stuff.
Thank you for doing that. Questions? Yes, sir.
For Mario, I think Doug said you had looked at some old Belmonts. What, if anything, did you learn from those?
Doug said earlier, Mario, that you had looked at some old Belmonts. Have you learned anything from those that you would care to share with us today?
Yes, I did watch a lot of Belmont when I was in Vancouver, actually. I watched the losers. I watched all the horses that try and fell, you know. I'm still an experience. I know that it's a lot of things that I have to learn. Like, if I share what I think I saw on those videos, it's just gonna open doors to more people to say more stuff about me. So I just prefer to keep it quiet and then no comment. I think I'm gonna take the race as a challenge for me, like the other ones. It was first time for me Kentucky Derby, first time for me Preakness, and it's gonna be first time. So I'm just gonna do the same and no comment on that.
You can fill us in on all that stuff Saturday night. Tim?
This is for Doug. Doug, have you allowed yourself to think of what you might be on top of come Saturday if you're able to win?
Have you allowed yourself, Doug, to think about what you're on the verge of should you win?
Not really, no. I mean, I obviously, you know, other than the birth of my two kids, I don't know how it could get much better. So, and they're a pain in the ass every now and then, but I mean, it would be that kind of like wowing moment, and you know, so it just kind of have to. Hopefully, it happens, and I get a chance to experience that, and that would be awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
I have two questions. One is who's doing the tweets for I'll Have Another? And the second for Mario, I'd like to see if you can explain, I'm from Mexico and Mario's from Mexico, the scene of the quarter horse racing that he did when he was growing up. He raced his first horse at 14 at that scene of the countryside in Mexico where these races are very common.
Two questions. One, who's doing the tweets for I'll Have Another on his Twitter account? And the second one is specifically for Mario. If you could describe the scene in Mexico of your experiences in the quarter horse races down there. And why don't you start, Mario?
It was part of growing up. Part of growing up in a small place that I came from is somehow in the farm that my dad was working, they got involved to quarter horse racing. So I got involved early age. I was 6, 7 years old at the time. So I kind of grew up watching my dad racing quarter horses, and that's when I wanted to be like him. I wanted to ride horses too, and it was tough at the beginning, but I was happy to be on top of the horse.
And Doug, who's doing all those tweets?
No, you.
The horses. I'll have another. I want to. I'll leave it at that. I hate to expose Hooch does his translation. He has a hard time with the hoofs with the keys. But
Yes. Do you feel, Doug, that your horse, as a Triple Crown candidate coming into the Belmont, is getting all the respect he deserves, as befits a horse in that position?
I think he is. Obviously, being the first go-around for me, he's had tons of media attention, and he's 4 to 5 on the morning line, so I think he's getting a lot of attention. I just hope he lives up to the expectations.
Yes, you, sir.
For Mario, I'm sure back in your hometown in Mexico, in Mexico, you'll have some people watching the race on Saturday. Can you describe who will be there and where they'll be and what they'll be doing while it's going on?
You mean those in Mexico?
Yes.
Can you discuss, Mario, any friends or family of yours who will be watching on TV at home from Mexico? Can you tell us who might be in that group?
I think we're gonna have a full house in Mexico. My family and friends. I'm not sure about, but I hear some TV station is gonna go and put there like a big TV screen, so they're gonna watch it live for the first time, because they've been able to watch it by internet the 2 races before. So now they're gonna have a real TV, so they can watch it with a lot of my friends. So that'll be nice.
Jerry?
I got 2 questions. One for Dale is your impression of looking Mario, how he's handled himself in the Triple Crown. And Mario, how important is the Brooklyn now in Box to you on Friday?
2 questions. One for Dale. A comment, if you would, on Mario and how you think he's handled all this Triple Crown attention and his performance on the track in his first go-round. And secondly, for Mario, well, you answer that, Dale, and I'll get to Mario.
I'd never heard of Mario really before they came into the Derby, but I was impressed with his ride there, and even more impressed with his ride in the Preakness when it looked like Bodemeister was getting away from everybody. He showed presence of a veteran rider to sit and wait and knew his horse and knew he had enough horse to run him down. And I've been very, very impressed with the way he's handled himself in front of the press and the way he's handled everything in English, and seems like a good young man.
And Mario, the question for you, Mario, was how important is your mount on Boxer de Rue in the Brooklyn on Friday, 1.5 miles on the dirt, 24 hours ahead of time? How important is that as part of your preparations for Saturday?
Oh, it's very important, very important. You know, any help I can get before the race, racing a race that long, so it's gonna be really good for me. You know, I can go and see how it feels like to be in this kind of track and that kind of long distance race. So it's gonna help a lot.
Yes, Ken? For both Dale and Doug, could you discuss the perhaps unique strategy that comes into play in a 1.5 mile dirt race, given the fact that distance is so seldom run on the dirt?
It's such an odd race in such an odd distance in American racing that I don't think any of us have a really good handle on it. So talking to my jock, I said, I don't want you to be quite as concerned with how fast you're going as you are with how much horse you have under you. Don't worry about if you're 5 lengths off or 10 lengths off. Just try to be in tune with the horse, how much horse you think you have, and just realize you have a long ways to go even when you start into the final turn. So, but, we've got good riders here, good experienced jockey, and hopefully he'll be able to handle it.
Doug?
Yeah, I agree with Dale. I think it's one of those where, to add to that, you just got to have a horse who can go 1.5 miles, which like Dale said, we don't get a lot of opportunities to look for races like that, but I don't think you can take a horse that can't get 1.5 miles and do anything special training-wise to get 1.5 miles. So I think Dale and I both think our horses can get the distance, and it's just a matter of how they're feeling that day.
Doug, I was watching a preview of the show that's going to be on NBC Sports Network tonight at 7:30. The all-access behind the scenes, and it showed you and Mario in the infield at Pimlico before the Preakness, and your brother commented after the fact that if you watch the video, Mario looks calm as can be, and you looked nervous as could be. Do you expect that could be the same deal again on Saturday?
This is before the race?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'll be pumped up and fired up, and I'm sure I'll have a adult beverage or two in me before. Too bad you can't do that, but so no, this is what it's all about. I mean, this is the big stage and the whole enchilada, if you will. So this is what we were all dreaming about, and And not to add any pressure, it's not that big of a race, really. It's just another race. But yeah, so it just, as long as Alhaven continues to do as well as he is, I think we got a big chance.
More questions for? Thank you. Yes, sir.
For both Doug and Mario, just over this last ride, how have you guys been able to stay focused while all the attention has been on you throwing the opening pitch out, Mario being at the Empire State Building? With everything kind of swirling, how have you stayed in the moment, not gotten caught up?
With all the attention and off the track hoopla like Empire State Building and throwing out first pitches, how have you managed to keep your focus for the races themselves for both Doug and Mario?
Tequila? No. No, I think for Mario and I don't want to speak for Mario, but, you know, it's our first go-around, so maybe if this was like our third or fourth go-around, it might be a little bit draining, but I think both of us have taken a lot of pictures along the way and just, you know, we're living it like we'll never be back here again, and we're enjoying every aspect of it. So I think it's been more energizing than it has been draining.
Same.
Yes, sir. Doug, can you comment on your assistant, Jack Sisterson?
Yeah, Jack is been with us for a couple years now, and he's a real bright kid. He's just absolutely loves the game. He grew up around horses in England. He's worked for Todd Pletcher and Eddie Keneally while he was going to University of Louisville. He went to University of Louisville on a soccer scholarship and then blew out his knee. But he always has dreamt of doing something in the racing world to pay his rent, and I've lucked into having him around the barn, and he's just a great asset. He's very organized, he's very professional, and he's very responsible, and he's been a huge addition to our team.
Got time for just a couple more questions. Jerry?
What's the status of the first pitch? You guys are all out now, right? On Friday night?
Question is, what's the status of the first pitch at the Yankee game Friday night? There was some talk you might be doing it, might not be doing it.
Yeah, the race is supposed to go off at 5:40, and they want us there at 6:15. So the Redhams were kind enough to offer to run a helicopter, but I think at the end of the day, it's not gonna work. But that would be an unbelievable experience. But I think more importantly, it's having Boxer in the Brooklyn and having him run good and giving Mario experience is the most important thing.
All right. And I guess everybody has had a chance to ask their questions. So left to right, I want to thank Dale Romans, Mario Gutierrez, and Doug O'Neill for your time today, and best of luck to all three of you on Saturday.
One quick additional announcement is that at 1 o'clock